Hello students. So today we are going to discuss the concept of scheduling. So let us begin with all resources that are present in the system must be scheduled before they are used. So particularly the CPU and the input output devices. And allocation of process to CPU is known as the CPU scheduling. Another name for CPU scheduler is the short-term scheduler. The reason CPU scheduling is done so that the CPU is kept busy and it is fully utilized. Now there are two types of scheduling known as preemptive scheduling. Example is shortage job first, and the second type of scheduling is the non-preemptive scheduling. Example is first come first served. Now let us try to understand what are the conditions under which the CPU scheduling decision takes place. There are four conditions. First condition is when a process switches from running state to waiting state. Now let me remind you, when the process is in waiting state, it means it is requesting an IO operation. Okay. Second condition is when a process switches from running state to ready state. See what happens in the ready state. The process is just kept in a queue waiting for the attention of the processor. It is kept waiting because since other process is running by the CPU, it is not waiting for any IO operation to be completed. Third condition is when a process switches from waiting state to ready state. Now, as I have already told you, in ready state the processor is not waiting for any IO operation. It is only waiting for the attention of processor. Most probably that this happens after the completion of IO. And the last condition is when a process terminates. So these are the four conditions under which CPU scheduling decision is taken place. Now next we are going to discuss preemptive scheduling. Now what do you mean by preemptive scheduling? Preemption means interruption. So if in a system a process is interrupted, to stop its execution and allow other higher priority process for the execution, such type of system is known as preemptive scheduling. Now sometimes this is very essential that a higher priority process should be executed early. Now since it is interrupting the system, less number of processes may get executed. Now here I have taken one example as is shown in the table. Okay, so here four processes are there: P2, P3, P1 and P0, and their arrival time in the system is also mentioned here. Then the CPU burst time is the time required for executing that process is mentioned here in milliseconds, and here in the last column the priority is mentioned. So here lower number indicates higher priority and a larger number indicates low priority. So since P2 was the first process that enters the system, it will be executed first. So after 1 second, say suppose P3 has entered the system, but since P3 has higher priority, it will be executed first. Okay, P2 will be interrupted and P3 will be executed. Then later on, even if the two processes P1 and P0 has entered the system, so according to their priority they will be executed. So see here, P0 has next higher priority, so even if the P1 has entered the system after P3, which is of higher priority, P0 is executed completely. Okay, and after P0, P1 is executed. Okay, and lastly the P2 process, which was halted in the first place, will be executed completely. So this type of scheduling, in which a higher priority process can interrupt an ongoing process for execution, is known as the preemptive scheduling. Now let us see how non-preemptive scheduling is different from this preemptive scheduling. Now the word is non-preemptive. It means non-preemption, means there won't be any interruption. Okay, so unlike the preemptive scheduling, process will continue the execution even if the high priority process arrives. So let us say again we are taking the same example for our understanding. So here in non-preemptive scheduling, what is going to happen? The process may stop because of some IO request, or it will terminate by itself. But such type of non-preemptive scheduling is not suitable in real-time system, as in real-time systems sometimes a higher priority process needs to get executed, and this is not possible in non-preemptive scheduling. And since there is no interruption, then large number of processes get executed as compared to preemptive scheduling. Now let us take the same example. Okay, so here again priority, arrival time and CPU burst time is mentioned here. So see here, unlike the earlier case, P2 is not interrupted even if the P3 has entered the system. So these processes are executed on the basis of their arrival time. So whichever process has arrived in the system first will be executed first, then the second process, third process, and finally the last process. So such type of non-preemptive scheduling means that there will not be any interruption in the system. Now let us try to understand once more the differences between preemptive scheduling and non-preemptive scheduling. So in preemptive scheduling, the process may switch from running state to ready state. Okay, since the process is halted, it is switched from running state to ready state. Ready state means what? It is only waiting for the attention of processor. There is no IO request. In preemptive scheduling, a process switches from waiting state to ready state. In waiting state, it waits from some IO request, and in ready state, it only waits for the attention of processor. Then since interruption occurs, means multiple processes can run. One process can be preempted by another higher priority process, and this type of interruption requires some specific hardware, and Windows 95 was using this preemptive scheduling. Now let us consider non-preemptive scheduling. Here the process switches from running state to waiting state if it requires some IO process, or the process may get terminated. Once the process is allocated to CPU, it will complete its execution till the termination, as I have shown you in the earlier slide. And since there is no interruption, it does not require any specific hardware. An example is Windows 3.x. So I hope that you have understood the difference between preemptive scheduling and non-preemptive scheduling. Now next we are going to discuss some scheduling criteria. So first criteria is the CPU utilization. So we are trying that CPU must always be kept busy so that its utilization will be 100%. Second criteria is throughput. Throughput means amount of work done by the CPU, or you can say the the total number of processes executed in a particular time. If the more number of processes are executed, it means the throughput is very good. Then third criteria is turnaround time. It is the time difference between submission of process and the completion of process. Or another way, you could use this particular formula: turnaround time is equals to time on the waiting queue plus time on the IO request queue plus time required for execution. Here waiting queue, it will wait for the processor. Here it will wait for the completion of IO request, and finally when it gets the processor, the time required for the execution of the process. So this is the definition of turnaround time. Now next, waiting time. The sum of the waiting time of the process in the ready queue. See, when the process is in the ready queue, it is waiting for the attention of the processor. And finally, response time. It is the time difference between submission of job and the first response time. So these are the different scheduling criteria used. I hope you have understood the concept of scheduling. Thank you.